Welcome to the first Power Play Chess Hangout of the year. It's great to be back live on YouTube, and I can see people joining me in the text already. So if you have any questions, any comments, then please do join in the chat, and I'll try and pick up your comments. I've got a computer screen over here. I've got my camera and other stuff going on here. So we'll just wait for a few people to arrive, and then we'll get going. While we're waiting for people to join us, then I'll give my customary weather report. Well, as they like to say in all those cliched stories, it's a dark and stormy night here in London. We have a little bit of snow falling, unbelievably. For London, that's very unusual. And the temperature is, well, not freezing actually. It's around about 2 or 3 degrees centigrade, maybe 1 or 2 degrees. But it's the perfect night for sitting back and enjoying a bit of chess. So welcome everyone who's joining me now. Oh, wow, we've got Kevin McGrath saying snow falling in Ireland. Wow. David Lee, weather here is worse in Chicago. Kinetic Static says it's hot in Cape Town. Well, lucky you in Cape Town is all I can say. Nick Gatrell says, what's my view on Ivanchuk winning the Rapid Championship? Well, incredible performance, of course. Chucky did incredibly well. And, you know, as Kasparov once said, you know, without any hesitation, the guy is a genius. But he is really phlegmatic, or maybe mercurial is a better word. Actually, he's not so phlegmatic, but he's mercurial. You know, one moment's up, one moment down. Kanan Namas says it's beautiful in Dubai, 25 degrees. Fantastic. So as ever, we have this wonderful range of, well, we have a completely global audience, which is fantastic. That's what I always like to see. So what I will do is, while people are joining us, I will start with my first chess position. So let me just switch screens, and I'll put a chessboard up. Oh, we can't see the chessboard at the moment. That's not so good. 1 second. Let's put that there. Have I messed up already? That's interesting. Wait a second. I'm trying to switch screens and I'm failing at the moment. That's not a good sign. Oh dear. That's not good. I might have to start again. That's not great. Just talk amongst yourselves, folks, and I'll try and get this going. Just a moment, folks. It'd be nice if the technology worked. Let's see if this one works. Let me try again. No. Okay, this is not good, folks. Oh, dearie me. We seem to have a problem with technology here. Well, I've got lots of questions, but I was going to try and entertain you with some chess, but it's not happening at the moment, which is not exactly what I wanted. Wait a second, guys. Nope, still not working. Oh, that's not good. It's not good. Okay, I'm still trying to get this going. Bear with me, folks. Something appears to be happening now. Let me try again. With a bit of luck, this is going to work now. Okay. Yes. Fantastic. Hi, folks. I can see, as somebody says, the charm of the live broadcast. Yes, as Chris Scullion in Northern Ireland says, have you tried the IT crowd's classic advice? Have you tried turning it off and on again? That's what I've just been doing for the last few minutes. So greetings, everyone. I think I've got it working now. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. So you should see a chessboard now. And whoops. This was a game from the Rapid World Championship, and that's what I'd like to do tonight. Go through a few highlights from the Rapid World Championship, which, as we all know, was won by Vasily Ivanchuk, who tied first with Carlson, but Chucky won it on tiebreak. This is a game between. I'm going to go through this first part of this game very quickly. This is a game between Wojciech, Radoslaw Wojciech from Poland, and Rasmus Svana, who is from Germany, a young player. And I'm just going to zip through these first moves very quickly. There were some nice tactics here. Now, this position, so material after that little flurry of tactics, is the position on the board, and it's white to play. I will pick up on your questions in a second, but first of all, let's deal with this one. This is your opener, your opening position. White to play, what would you play here? Then I'll get back to some of your questions. In answer to Deniz Akuz, have I been to Istanbul? I have been to Istanbul, and I loved it. I loved Istanbul. It was very magical, very romantic, and very beautiful. We have our first reply. Arne Hessenbruch meinte Springer F7. Kinder Namas also Knight F7. Lots of people are suggesting Knight F7. Well, if Knight F7, if King takes, then Queen F3 could be rather good, forking those two. But after Knight F7, if I play Rook F8, then actually matters aren't quite so clear, because you'll notice, now this is a very unclear position, but you'll notice that the Rook and the Bishop suddenly have a counterattack here. So in fact, Arne Hessenbruch says, I'm Danish, mate. Apologies. Let me see. Hey, we've got Gabe in Los Angeles suggesting Queen F3, and we've got a couple of guys suggesting Queen F3. Queen F3, it's a good move. Queen F3, hitting the Rook on A8, hitting the pawn on F7. Now I'm going to defend both. I'm moving the Rook away from the attack and defending F7. So what's your next idea? What's your next volley after Rook F8? It's not so clear. Arna in Denmark. There's a Danish player that plays for the club that I support. The club I support is Brentford Football Club, and we have Lasse Viber, who plays for us, scored a goal in the last match. Good guy. We're big fans of Lasse. Queen G3, says Jeff Barber. Well, do you know what? There's probably more than one good move here. I guess if Queen G3, yeah, I mean, things are lining up in a pretty tasty way. Go Brentford, says Anna. Yeah, indeed. And this looks very dangerous indeed. I wonder, I would be surprised if, can black survive this? Maybe F6, I guess, is probably surviving. So not Queen G3, but Logic Engine has found the solution. Well, knight takes and Queen C3 is the very simple double attack, and that finished the game. So there we are. Yeah, Wojciech won the game. Let me just step away from that. I'm back to the screen. There we go. Hopefully we can get the chessboard working again, but let me just, I mean, I think there was more than one way to win that position, but obviously taking on D7 and Queen C3 was the simplest. Let me just take some of your questions, and then I'll show you another. Actually, the next thing I want to show you is really, really nice, beautiful, beautiful game. But let me just take some of your questions. Let me see. VR Vishnu asks, can I suggest some good books for the middle game? Well, normally when I'm asked this question, I say that what I like when I'm learning chess, to pick up chess strategy, I've always looked at games collections. So, for example, Fischer's 60 Memorable Games, Kasparov's book on My Great Predecessors. That's quite complicated, but basically any games collection. Alekin's Best Games, superb. I think for me, these are classics, and you can pick up middle game strategy very well. I'm just looking at my bookshelf because I've got so many books that could be of interest. Let me see. I'm going to reach at random and see what I pick out. Fischer's 60 Memorable Games. Anything by Tal is good. Spielman is very interesting. Chess Strategy is excellent. These are good books. Okay, so here we go, folks. This is a random selection. Bobby Fischer's 60 Memorable Games. You can't do better than that. And actually, what I like about it is that there's analysis, but it's actually explained very well. Of course, it was ghost written by Larry Evans, but Fischer, actually, Larry Evans used to tell a great story about this. Basically, Fischer had this contract to write his best games, and but he was too lazy to do it. And basically, Larry Evans, who had a reasonable working relationship with, reasonable relationship with Fischer, said, "Okay, I'll write it for you." So Fischer used to, according to Evans, Fischer used to just lie on his sofa, and he had a chess set kind of on the table next to him. But Fischer would sort of, from blindfold, talk through the moves and variations, talk through these games, and Evans would just be writing everything down. So basically, Fischer dictated the book from his sofa. Evans was very funny at the way he described this. Next game, Chess Strategy for Club Players by Hermann Groten. Very nice book, very systematic, excellent book. And another one that I was recommending recently, Attacking Chess for Club Players, Hermann Groten. Very nice book. Okay, this is at random. John Spielman's Best Games. Very nice, quite an old book. Fantastic, very interesting book. What else have I got? When I'm talking games collections, I mean these. My Best Games of Chess, 1908 to 1923, Alexander Anakin. Very old book, very good book. My Best Games of Chess, 1924 to 1937. If you want to learn chess strategy, you learn from the greats. These are classics. You can't beat them. Of course, it involves some hard work. You have to play through the moves, not just on a screen. But they are fantastic books. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about games collections. I can see. Let me catch up with the comments. Wait a second. RK says, as for books, I think my first chess book was actually yours. And fantastic. That's nice. Yeah, I've just been showing some middle game books. Let me see. I'm just catching up with the questions now, and then we'll look at some chess again. Nick Gatrell says Michael Steen's book, Simple Chess, is a great book for beginners. I agree. Simple Chess by Michael Steen is an excellent book, not just for beginners, actually. Very good. John Richardson says, hi, any chance you're coming to Bunratty this year? Sorry. Bunratty is a great tournament. Bunratty is, for those that don't know, a weekend tournament in the west of Ireland, and it's a superb tournament. I love it. But no, I won't be coming this year. Too busy. What age do I become a grandmaster? Oh, very late. 25. RK asks, if I was compete now, what level do you think you could still do well? I have no idea. Bharadwaj Ralabandi asks, can we become a grandmaster if we start at 22 years of age? I'm currently 1500 in standing on chess.com. I'm going to give you an honest answer. No, you won't become a grandmaster if you're only 1500 at 22 years of age. Sorry. But everyone can enjoy chess, whatever level. Thank you, Daniel Uros. Okay, enough questions. Now I'm going to give you some more chess, because there's a wonderful game which from the World Rapid Place that I would like to show you. Spectacular game, actually, for quite a short game, but I hope you enjoy this. Hopefully the technology will work. Arne Hessenbrook. Yes, Andreas Bjelland. Bjelland plays for Brentford too. Yeah, of course, there's a strong Danish connection. So let me just try and get this going again. No, this doesn't want to work once again. The technology is rather sticky today. I will try again. Let's try it. Hopefully this works. Just talk amongst yourselves, guys, while I'm fishing this up. No, still doesn't want to work. That's not good. Okay, let's try this and see what happens. Okay, start screen share. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this, and hopefully you can see that and this. And wait a second. What's on the screen at the moment? Only this. That's not good. No, I'm going to try again. Nice poster in the background. Can anyone read it? Well, it's a poster from a tournament that I played in the Soviet Union in 1985 in Latvia, to be precise. Still can't get this to work. Wait a second. This is very sticky. Just a moment, guys. I'm getting there. Let's try this again. Apologies for the stickiness of the technology. It's doesn't seem to want to screen share at the moment. Nope, still doesn't want to screen share. Not good. Let's answer a few more questions and hopefully something will magically work. Basquiat says, working for ChessBase, you should have ChessBase 14. I should do. It's on my other computer, but I don't. That's not the problem. It's the YouTube technology, actually. Kevin McGrath asked, do you think it's within everyone's ability to achieve 2000 rating if they work hard enough? I just can't say that. You know, some people have an aptitude for chess. It's impossible to say. You know, I'd be a fool if I said yes and then you didn't. You know, it just doesn't work like that. Okay, let's try again. Let's see if here we go. Fantastic. Right. So this game is between Pavel Tragubov and Alexander Moiseyenko from the World Rapid Play Championship. So let me switch to the chessboard. And this game I really like, I have to say. So here we go. D4 by white. Let me just adjust the screen a little bit. And it's a Nimzo-Indian. Rubinstein variation. Yeah, this variation with B6. If you don't mind, guys, I'm going to concentrate on the chess now. I'll come back to your questions in a second. So if you could just hold back with the questions, I just want to look at this game. So this variation with B6, I've always found very attractive, actually, with black. I played it a few times and I quite like it. Here, black plays with knight e4, which is absolutely fine. The main move is bishop a6. And for example, here, and then you can also play bishop e7 here, but you can take and play d5. This is one of the main lines. Paul Hardy, thank you very much for reminding people about the Patreon page. I'll come on to that in a second. So that's one of the main lines. But this game, knight e4 was played, and this is also one of the main moves. So this bishop has come to this excellent diagonal. So I'm just having a slight problem with the windows, so I'm just going to resize things a little bit. Just 1 second. That should be a bit better now. That's better. Now, castles and b4. So here we have a real battle between the two bishops and the bishop and knight. I mean, white would very much like to get this bishop working on the long diagonal. Now, the only thing is, at the moment, this is also a superb piece, and black has some early activity with the queen. And you know, f6, a trenchant move in this position. I would be very tempted to play like this, and just to cut out any nonsense. But okay, d6 is also okay. There's no huge problem at the moment. d5, obviously threatening a thumping mate here. Queen h6, defending. Rook d1. Move, I have to say that I would be very interested in is castle's queenside in this position, which has been played before. I mean, that just leads to a very double-edged position. You know, black might try to break things open with a5, but you know, white could envisage some kind of pawn storm on the king side. Rook d1, knight d7. and f5. So, I mean, this is a very forthright way to play. I mean, instead of rook e8, sorry, just coming back to this position, you know, you can play with e5, and after castles, then f5. The only problem is f4 just kind of shuts out, blocks the f pawn. I mean, this is a reasonable way for black to play as well, because you're going to end up with a knight on e4, but this bishop is shut out. That's the problem. So in playing like this with f5, black is hoping to keep the bishop's diagonal open. And white takes. I mean, white is not obliged to do that, but it could be sooner or later after knight f6, there'll be pressure on d5. So took c5. So this is reaching boiling point already. Absolutely critical position. So here's a question for you. If you could just hang back with the questions, folks, while I'm looking at this game, because I don't have time to analyze and read your questions and answer questions. So I would just like to look at this game, then I'll return to your questions. So here we go. White has played c5, and this is already an absolutely critical position. Because these diagonals, or obviously the long diagonal is open, and this diagonal is starting to open as well. But the bishop is trained on g2. You know, black's piece is also pretty active. So here's your first question. What would you play in this position? Arna wants to play rook g6. Okay, let's take a look at that. Rook g6, threatening something devastating. Yeah, but maybe c6 looks pretty strong. I appreciate queen h3 is possible in that position, but everyone wants to play rook g6. It's very interesting. But is it any good? This is the question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I need to do something about this. Now I'm reluctant to play this move. I could possibly play, maybe here. This may be a good move, and this. Okay. But if I defend g2 like this, this might be a good idea. This is probably a good idea. Yeah, I suspect so. Let's go back. I'll go back. Hang on. My machine is not allowing me to go back, which is a bit annoying. Yeah, after bishop c4 check, strikes me that I could also take here and do this. Although bishop d5 is probably better, but that's good enough. Okay, let's go back. So yeah, the obvious move, rook g6, I'm afraid probably not too good. So in the game, black played knight e5. So blocking the long diagonal and keeping tabs on c4 as well. see people are suggesting f4 instead. F4 instead. I guess c6 is probably a good move. It feels like black hasn't got enough in this attack because, you know, while white's queen is trained on g7, you know, there's always going to be an out here. So anyway, in the game, black played knight e5. And I'm going to zip through these next moves fairly quickly. Takes, 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 here, here. Now, so white has just played queen c7. Now it's over to you again. What did black play next? Audio is fine. I'm relieved to hear that. Thank you, Anna. So what did black play next in this position? Thank you for that suggestion, Logic Engine. Not terribly constructive. He says, set the board on fire. Literally set the board on fire, then punch the clock. Yeah. It's, well, it would be possible. Well, if bishop g2, there's lots of cries for bishop g2. I'm not quite sure how black is going to follow up after king takes bishop. Stavitsa says he's playing with his head, not engine. Well, I'm glad, because actually we all have to play with our heads. If you're using a computer, then just don't bother writing in, you know. But we have had quite a few suggestions for knight f3, and knight f3 was the move played, and this is rather spectacular and rather good. Obviously, this needs to be taken. If pawn takes, then this is immediately fatal, and it's rather handy that the rook on g6 covers g7. Mate threatened here, and also after rook g1, bishop f3 would lead to mate, so that's rather good. And going back, bishop f3, bishop f3. Now, obviously, this, once again, can't be captured because, whoops, that's a mouse slip. Rook g6 check. Once again, wins for black, very simply, so we need to go back. But white finds himself in a very sticky situation because suddenly, well, rook g6 is threatened. Well, I mean, there are so many threats here. White played queen c4. Now, over to you again. What did black play now after queen c4? After queen c4, what did black play? Remember, this is a rapid game, so these tactics are pretty impressive, actually. Rook f7 is being suggested. Queen g6 suggested. RK suggests queen h3. Well, let me deal with queen h3 first. Unfortunately, that runs into a check, and not so clever. Rook g6 against the rules of chess because that's check. King h8 has been suggested. Well, king h8 is a very sensible move. Black will win from this position. There are just too many threats. But maybe even better than king h8. King h8 is winning. There are too many threats. But even better is d5. d5 is absolutely crunching. And after rook takes d5, what is the winning move? What's the winning move? What's the winning move on after rook takes d5? Jody McCulloch says, yay! Well, thank you for that, Jody. Maybe you spotted the move. Ofer Shamai, Queen h3, Alexander Wolf, Queen h3, the RK, Queen h3, Per Eric Breadbacker, Queen h3, Crazy IM, Queen h3, Binma, Queen h3, Thomas Herman, Queen h3, Logic Engine, Queen h3, Vishnu, Queen h3, bang. Queen h3 is the move, and that is a clean KO. White will not get up after that move. What a great shot. Pawn takes queen, rook g6. It's pretty good. Queen g4 will take that. And this is a threat, and this is a threat. Yeah, after queen h3, it's all over. So if we just go back, that's why d5 was played, just to prevent queen takes rook. But that's also why king h8 is a winning move, because, well, there are simply too many threats here. Queen h3 is a threat. Nothing else. This is a threat. I mean, white can escape to an endgame, but of course, this is the best that white has. But of course, this is winning. But that's why d5 is actually better than this. Let's go back. So the question is, where did white go wrong? Well, by the way, after c takes d6, knight f3 is immediately very strong. This is a rapid play game. He just recaptures straight away. So what is a better move for white in this position? He's already gone wrong. White to play. Let's go back. What should white play here? Any thoughts? Ravi, Parami, and Sweet Time suggest c6. Can I take that? Is that possible? I'm not sure why not. I think I can just take that. Bharadwaj Ralabandi asked me to schedule the event a little bit earlier. People in Asia are sleeping now. Well, the great thing is that you can always watch this show afterwards, because this will be saved on the Power Play Chess channel. So you can watch it afterwards. I can't please everyone. If it's earlier, then, you know, people in the States don't get to see it. You know, this is a global audience, but you can watch it afterwards. Yeah, it seems to me after c6, this can just be taken. I mean, if I Logic Engine, oh, he's the Joker tonight. Remove black's king from the board and replace it with a mango. Hey, surreal, pretty surreal. Coming back to this position, I would just block out the bishop. That's got to be the way to go. Just blunt the bishop. But also, the f-pawn controls the g4 square. So it's all about just reducing the options of black's minor pieces. John Richardson says f3 is solid. That's my point. Rock solid. Just cut out the attacking pieces, you know, and if necessary, you can play a move like rook f2 to protect g2. And I quite like those bishops, I've got to say. Okay, listen, I'm going to leave this game, but spectacular game. And remember, it's rapid play, so I think very, very impressive. Okay, we're coming back to the questions. So let me see. Brandon Daniels wants a 24-hour show, yeah, to get over the scheduling problems. Well, Brandon, do you know what? That gives me an idea. Thank you, Brandon. Let me see. There were some questions way back. But give me the questions again. I can't remember some of the questions now. They were way back in the chat. So yeah, give me a few questions. I'll take a few questions, then we'll look at some more chess afterwards. There was lots of angst about, can I become a strong player? Is there hope for me yet? Well, focus on the process. I think that's what they always say. You know, don't think about, you know, can I become a certain rating? Just study and play and just improve. If you have that feeling of improvement, doesn't matter where, you know, how far you get, just as long as you have that feeling that you're still learning, that's the most important thing. And remember, it's not just enough to study. You have to play regularly as well. It's the only way to improve. Mark LaRocca is still focusing on this idea of improvement. He says, what about Bobby Fischer's quote about making anyone a master? Well, I'm not sure about that. Again, I think, you know, this is a false, I think this confuses the issue. Fischer did say that, but that, do you know what? When you're such a strong player, you kind of believe that everyone can get there. Why can't everyone get there? And I'm not sure everyone can. But just focus on improvement. Nick Gatrell says that he's studying John Nunn's Secrets of Pawn Endings. Beginners need to start with pawn play. Well, I agree that looking at endgames is very, very important. Simple endgames, pawn endgames, rook and pawn endgames. Tim Worrell asks, sorry to keep harping on about it, but did you see Yasser's Sarawan's suggestion for changing the World Championship match? Yeah, do you know what? I want the World Championship match to remain as classical games. I think 12 is about right, the number of games. I think I don't like this idea of having a tie break first. For me, it's so unnatural. There has to be some kind of common sense. I think, you know, there are some very clever rules to try and make it as fair as possible. But I think it's forgotten that in any sporting contest, it should be absolutely transparent what is going on. Can you imagine a football match where they started with a penalty shootout? You know, for me, this is absolutely daft. You know, you can never be completely fair. You can never have a match that is always exciting. This is life. I like the World Championship match. I thought it was a fantastic match between Carlson and Karyakin. I really enjoyed it. The more you put in something, the more you get out. And the fact that it finished with a rapid play, well, they had 12 classical games first, and they couldn't be separated, so they went to a really intriguing tiebreak. I thought it was fine, so I like it as it is. You're not going to please everyone. Kevin McGrath asks, what was it like to play against Korchnoi? I loved playing against Korchnoi. It was a bit scary. He was a bit scary, I've got to say. Quite an intimidating character. Not intentionally, but you know, sometimes he bash moves out, and you know, if anyone's seen the video I made after he died last year, you know, I recounted how one game I played against him, he took a pawn with such violence. I mean, really, it was quite frightening. And you know, I have a feeling that if I'd said something to him, he'd have kind of squared up to me. But I enjoyed the contests. You know, I felt like I was playing someone who wanted a proper fight, and it was always a fantastic challenge. I played against Korchnoi 4 times. I lost twice and I won twice, and they were fantastic experiences. He was cantankerous. After he lost, he was really bad-tempered. When he beat me, he was charming. And I interviewed him on a few occasions, actually. And actually, he was very good company. He was very entertaining, and he made an effort to spend time with me when I was interviewing. And he was fine. You know, he loved chess, but you know, a difficult man. Let me see. Hurler64 asked, Dan, what's your own rating over the board? Do you know what? I haven't played a serious game of chess for about 5 years, so my over the board rating is kind of irrelevant. But my last FIDE rating, I plummeted to something like 2460. Horrible. That's the worst rating I've had since, you know, I was in my early 20s probably. And my best, I was 2570, I think. I mean, by today's standards, nothing special. But okay, when I was playing professionally, it was decent. It was okay. But I mean, you know, my rating is completely irrelevant because at the moment I don't play. When you have family, you can't, and you're serious about your family, you can't be a professional chess player. That's my feeling. Yeah, which answers a few of your questions here. Nick asks, am I going to show any of Ivanchuk's games tonight? Yeah, well, we should get back to chess. So let me fish up another game, and I am going to show you one of Ivanchuk's games, actually. So just a moment. Hopefully, I'm sorry, the technology is rather sticky tonight, but I will show you his game against Carlson from the Rapids. Nope, that's not good. Still not there. Just a moment, folks, while I sort out the technology. It is frustratingly slow and sticky tonight. Let me try again. Yay, here we go. Okay, so this is a game, Vasily Ivanchuk with white against Magnus Carlson from the World Rapid Play Championship, played a couple of weeks ago. And, well, we know that Ivanchuk won the Rapid Play. He actually tied first with Carlson. and Grishuk from memory. Yeah, Ivanchuk, Grishuk, and Carlson tied first with 11 points. But Ivanchuk won on tiebreak. Let me just show you the start of this game. This is intriguing because Ivanchuk and Carlson actually played this exact line before, but Carlson had the white pieces before, curiously. We have this position where the C and D pawns have disappeared, which, I mean, obviously neither side has a structural advantage. And if pieces are traded, then, well, odds on it's a draw. But Ivanchuk certainly has the more active position. I mean, particularly after e4, because, you know, he might be able to play e5 and bishop d3, and suddenly he's got some attack. And you know, for example, here, well, bishop d3 with potential threat of e4, the actual threat of e5. And this is already slightly unpleasant for black. You know, if you play g6, well, that doesn't look too healthy with this bishop slicing across the board. If you play h6, I wonder, I might be tempted to do something brutal here. I wonder if, well, maybe that's too crazy. G4 is probably too crazy after queen f4. Maybe not that one. But, I mean, white should probably just castle and, you know, maybe play e5 on the next turn. White has a pleasant position. So let's go back. I think b6 is probably what Carlson should play. Instead, he played b5. He wanted to resolve the position. Well, you know, he knows he's not going to get checkmated here. But there is a problem because White's pawns are actually very useful here, controlling c5. And because Ivanchuk has a5, thus the a5 square under control, then Carlson can't break down these pawns with a5. And White's pieces are so active here. So Carlson is already in some trouble. If you just hang back with the questions for the time being, because I'm analysing this game and I don't want to be distracted by questions, if you don't mind. So this position. Now let me throw it over to you. Your move. Well, RK, I've stopped the board, I've stopped the moves, so that hopefully will give you a chance to catch up. It is white play. What did Ivanchuk play next? If you know what happened next, don't bother writing in. If you're using a computer, don't bother writing in. If you're using your own brain, please do write in. Ravi Parami suggests rook takes d6. Oh, is that legal? Is that possible? Rook d6. I wonder. I'm not quite sure why I can't just recapture. No, I don't think so. Not in this case. Alpha Shamai suggests knight e5. Gabe Romo suggests knight e5. Bishop e5 suggested as well. Bishop a4. Well, bishop a4, well, that could be taken. b5 suggested. Not sure about b5 because somehow it looks a little bit loose. Don't know. It might be possible simply to break up the pawns with a6. No need to play that. But bishop e5 is a very tempting move. I suppose the only problem is that f6 boots this one away. I guess the bishop could come back. But I wonder, are you doing black a favor by allowing this? Maybe. But as far as the bishop moves goes, you could play bishop d4. That doesn't look bad to me. I quite like the bishop on this diagonal. But several people have suggested knight e5, and that was indeed the move that was played. But this involves calculation, and Ivanchuk is an absolutely brilliant calculator, even in rapid play. And after f6, what was the move that he made? Oops, hang on. I didn't mean to do that. Hang on, let me try and get the board back. I messed up. Me and technology, hopeless. Oh no, now I can't get the board back. Let me try again. Let's try again, folks. If you recall, I messed up. Here we go. We're back again. Wait a second. Black has just played f6. Jody McCulloch says he loves the symmetry of that position. Yes. Penguin F says an exercise in blindfold calculation. Yes, it was for a moment. So what happens on f6? I mean, f6 is a very obvious move. What had Ivanchuk intended? What was the big idea? Interesting suggestion from Boyan Maximovich and as well as Noman Neskio. They say, what about rook d2? Very interesting move. Very interesting, because if this is captured, then I think white is going to win the piece back with interest because of the pin. Very interesting. Of course, I'm not obliged to take that. So perhaps I've got another move. Maybe I move my bishop. Is that possible? Yeah, maybe that's okay for black. We have a good suggestion. Ofer Shamai says no way back. The bishop should evacuate the c6 square. Yeah, well, let's vacate the c6 square and play bishop f3. Yes, this was the move made, and this is very clever. Very clever move. Well done to the RK and to Ofer Shamai and Zedicus and Alexander Wolf. So with the idea, well, in fact, you can see there are so many inviting pieces here to be attacked. And this was the game continuation. I mean, black has nothing better, really. After knight c6, that is a crushing move. I'm afraid Magnus was well and truly stitched up here. Rook b7, you can just take on d8. And don't forget this one, as well as lots of other things. I mean, white's pieces are just perfectly placed here. The game, Carlson played bishop b7, but this was hopeless. He's just getting pinned pieces here. Norman Neskio says, since when does this happen to Carlson? Yeah, it's a good question. Not very often, I can assure you. Not very often. If king takes, of course, we can throw in rook c7 check, and that's very nasty because d6 is going to drop. So in the game, this happened here. In this position, Ivanchuk is, well, one pawn up at the moment, and very soon 2 pawns up. I mean, this is an absolutely horrific position. 2 pawns, extra pawns for white, total control. The rook controls the 5th rank, bishop against knight, completely winning position. The RK says, Ivanchuk has a superpower to make anyone look like a fool once a year. Yes, it does feel like that, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely crushing game, absolutely crushing. I wonder if I can finish off with a nice tactic. Do I have anything interesting here? Oh yeah, some people saw this. Zedika says he's Carlson's nemesis. I don't think he is. That was one rapid play game. Baradwaj Ralabandi wants to have Chucky versus Magnus World Championship match. Yeah, but Ivanchuk, I'm afraid he needs to qualify first. And he can produce it now and again, but he's not consistent enough, unfortunately. No, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Let me see. Let me show you maybe one more. No, actually, we're out of time. We're out of time. Okay, let me just take a few more questions, and then I'll wrap things up. Let me take a couple more questions, then it's time to go. Any more for any more? RK says Wei Yi would be most exciting candidate right now. I'm not sure, actually. I find his style a little bit conservative, to be honest. Crazy I Am asks, could you please answer my question regarding neoclassical chess? What was your question? I missed it. Maybe you said it earlier. Tim Worrell asks, any predictions for Vaikansei? Yes, I should say Vaikansei coming up, starting on Saturday, round one starting on Saturday. Carlson playing, Karyakin, Wesley So, Anish Giri. Very hard to say. I think Carlson will win. There we are. There's my prediction. But it's going to be fascinating, really fascinating. Irradiated Badger says, do you recommend any book on the semi-Slav? No. Peter Wells produced a good book on the Slav a few years ago. But chess-based DVDs are very good. I mean, personally, I think that's a very good way to learn an opening. So anything, any of the chess-based authors, I think it's a more efficient way of learning an opening, because when you see a DVD, authors are able to direct their thoughts and say, you know, this is what you need to study. In a book, in an opening book, they're good for reference, but you know, you have 200 pages. Where do you start? That's a problem. Whereas on a DVD, people say, okay, this is the main variation. This is important. Then go to a book. That would be my tip. Paul Hardy asked, how can people support you on a monthly basis and gain exclusive rewards? Patreon. Thank you, Paul Hardy. Yeah, if you go to patreon.com, let me put this in, patreon.com and Powerplay Chess. There we go. Patreon.com, Powerplay Chess, then, and you can make a small monthly contribution or even a large monthly contribution, would be good. And that helps us to, well, supports the channel. You know, we don't get paid for this. And actually, the reason that we're able to hold monthly hangouts is because of the generosity of people contributing. So if you want to make sure that there are these monthly hangouts keep going, then do please contribute. I would be very grateful. You can, a couple of dollars, $5, $10 would be great. Zaya Dalkic asks about, no, I coach on playchess.com. František Duška asks about Bada Jabava. I'm not sure if he's playing in Vaikansei, actually. I hope he is. Who's my favorite chess player? Well, Tal I like very much. I like Korchnoi too. Tal, Korchnoi, Fischer. of the current crop, well, I like Jabava very much. I like David Navarra. They're very exciting players. Carlson too. Fastrobo asks, Gambits, should I study as a priority? No. There we are. You don't need to study Gambits. Did I comment on the Kasparov Anand? I did. Bharadwaj Ralabandi asks, favorite football club? Brentford Football Club. Yeah, they're playing Newcastle on Saturday. That's going to be a massacre. They're going to lose horribly, probably. RK asks, is Bardo Jabava your secret favorite chess player? No, I just said he is one of my favorite chess players. So it's not a secret, is it? Who's the best chess player ever? Impossible to say. And what's my favorite chess book? Well, I've pointed out some of them earlier. I like Alekin's Best Games, Fischer's 60 Memorable Games. I like Tal's books are fantastic. I like my great predecessors, Kasparov's books as well. Anti-Diluvian asks, will I have time to go through games by Tal, Korchnoi and Fischer this year? I will try to. Lots of questions there, but I'm going to wrap things up. Do support the channel on Power Play Chess, or you can even make one-off donations on PayPal as well. By the way, I put together a new playlist on the Power Play Chess channel I just called it Brilliancy. And what I've done is I've collected together, I've gone through the last 4.5 years of videos, and I picked out games that were especially brilliant. Sacrificial attacks, for example, mainly sacrificial attacks, and I put them together in one playlist called Brilliancy. And I'm just gonna write that in now. So do check that out, because a lot of these games get lost. You know, they're in obscure, well, not obscure, but they're from tournaments from like 3 or 4 years ago. So what I did was I picked out these games, dumped them all in one playlist. So do check that out, because there are some absolutely wonderful games in there that can easily get forgotten. So Brilliancy playlist. Do I read any fiction? I do read fiction, but I don't very often read science fiction. Most interesting book I read recently was called Blindness by Portuguese writer. Just an amazing book. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you soon. Vaikonze starting Saturday. Daily reports coming on the Power Play Chess channel. Thanks a lot. Bye now.